So I'm continuing my series of MASH retro reviews with Season 1, Episode 17, Sometimes You Hear the Bird. So for many fans, this is considered the first episode that truly gets serious. Now, as I've been going through my rewatch, I've discovered there's been serious moments in some of the other episodes, like there's that one serious moment in Yankee Doodle Doctor, there's several other serious moments scattered about. But yeah, this is probably the first episode that is truly about a serious topic. Those other episodes, it's just a little bit of set dressing to reinforce a point that they had already used humor to critique about war. This episode is different. There's three plots: the A plot, the B plot, and the C plot. So I would say the depends on which plots you classify as the A, B, and C, but two of them are linked because they reinforce each other. The other one is there to get us our comedy. And let's start with that one first. Frank trips, or not trips, well, that's the cover story, but basically his back gives out while he's in Margaret's tent. They're like dancing, I believe, if I remember correctly, and his back gives out. So they make it look like he tripped on his way from the shower, but the directions don't make sense. So there's all that going on. And then he wants to put in for Purple Heart because this occurred at a combat frontline unit, really stressing the definition. And somehow I don't think that actually would work in real life. But the point is that's intended to get us the humor stuff. But then the other plot, the main plot, in my opinion, the sometimes you use the bullet plot of the episode, is Hawkeye meets up with one of his childhood friends who's clearly went to school to be a journalist and has enlisted because he wants to report on the war, learn about the war as a soldier. He doesn't want to be a correspondent. And he's basically titling the book, the novel, the story that he's writing about his experience in the war, because in war movies, there's always a big, loud ricochet bullet sound right before the young blonde boy gets killed. Now, I've watched a few war movies, modern ones though, and I think that trope has definitely died down. And I think that trope is not really a thing anymore, but sometimes right before a major death, you still hear a bullet in cinema. But Hawkeye's friend, there was a boy who fit that description, a young blonde boy who gets killed and never heard a bullet. So that's why the correspondent, or Hawkeye's friend, was tightening his book that way. Well, anyhow, a few other things happen. There's a patient comes in who's just getting an appendicitis, who looks really young, who's a young blonde boy, by the way. So they're really almost I didn't connect this at first watch through, but they're really connecting the story about the young blonde boy being killed in war to this character subtly, and that helps explain more of maybe Hawkeye's actions later. But anyhow, so of course of events, Hawkeye eventually finds out the boy. Great, I can't remember if Wendell was his actual name or his brother's name, but basically he's underage. He's not even 16 yet, and he enlisted because all he wants to do was get a medal to impress a girl back home. So there's all that going on. And of course, Hawkeye's like, it does give him some advice, like, if a girl's the only way to impress is getting a medal, is that really a girl you want to, be, I forget the term Hawkeye used, but basically a girl you wouldn't be interested in, which is a valid question, which is not really brought up again, but this is where the truly serious part of the story comes in. Hawkeye's friend comes in injured, wounded, and he's unable to be saved. He dies on an operating table. Hawkeye's operating table. So this doesn't hurt him. And then there's a scene with him and Henry, which is a beautiful scene, where Hawkeye's distraught at this. He's crying. And he tells Henry that he's lost, I don't remember if he said hundreds or what, but lots of boys, lots of men before on the operating table. He's never cried for them. But why now? Well, one, it's his friend, but Henry gives him some good advice. Basically, that he learned two things in command school. That rule number one is that in war, good men die, and rule number people die. I forget exactly if it's people, boy, men. I forget that, but I'm just going to say rule number one: good people die, and rule number two: doctors can't change rule number 1, which is something, that is the truth of it. Doctors can't always change those tragic circumstances. They will do their best. But sometimes the power of a doctor to save is eclipsed by the power of humanity to destroy. So something to keep in mind as well. But after all that, what does Hawkeye do? He turns the young boy in who was underage, so that way he wouldn't die in combat. And the character tells Hawkeye that he'll hate him for as long as he lives. And Hawkeye's response is just, "I hope it's a long life." So he's willing to be hated by that young boy in order for the boy to have a long, healthy life. And I think that says something. No, he showed after the operating session, he just admitted it. And note this, he told Margaret. He doesn't always see an eye to eye with Margaret, especially Margaret right now in her characterization. But to make sure nothing happens and things are done properly, he actually does tell her. Not Frank. Why would he tell Frank? Frank is still not mobile because of his back injury. And Henry probably would just cave eventually. But speaking of caving, Frank does get his Purple Heart. Henry does put it in. And I still wonder, how did that actually happen? Because it's not a combat injury, it just happened in the combat zone. But now what Hawkeye does is he steals the earring and gives it to Wendell, or was that his brother? Regardless, so the boy is still getting a medal. If that's what it takes to get them interested in you, is that somebody you really want to be interested in? I do feel like the last scene undercuts it. But Wendell, or was that his brother, is still way more deserving of it than Frank. Because yes, he's underage. Yes, he probably does have a little bit of a racist attitude about North Koreans and Chinese, that you're calling them, quote, gooks, unquote. And yeah, that's not a friendly term to say the least, very prejudicial term. But that did happen, I'm presuming, a lot during war. Soldiers will come up with lots of names and slurs for their opponents. It's kind of the nature of war. Oh, and by the way, Hawkeye corrects him, saying that they're people. But, so yeah, Wendell, despite going to war for the wrong reasons, lying about his age, is still way more deserving of the medal, even though all he had was an appendicitis. Still more deserving of the Purple Heart than Frank was, because Frank literally threw out his back while having an affair. So, yeah, who's more deserving? I would say the 16-year-old who lied, even though he shouldn't have lied, but the almost 16-year-old who lied about his age to serve his country. That's more deserving than someone who's having an affair and threw out their back. I'm just saying. And both of them still lied in those situations anyhow, but I'd rather the one who's risking their lives get the medal rather than the one who's not risking their lives. But that's all I got for you today. I hope to hear your thoughts on Sometimes You Hear the Bullet in the comment section down below. There's so much more I could say. I didn't even talk about the scene where we actually learn about Hawkeye's friend, so that way his death would mean something to us, the audience, as well, so that way we wouldn't just be seeing Hawkeye be sad, we could be sad as well. That's something I didn't mention. There's other small moments I just didn't have time to mention as well, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. You can also stay up to date on my content by following me on social media. I have a link tree down in the description which has all my social media links on it. Additionally, if you would like to support the channel, you can become a channel member and get early access to all my videos. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you always.